Hi guys, I'm Kiera and today I am going to be giving my first impression on these Chameleon markers. I got these markers from my mom. I love you, Mom. So this is not a sponsored video or anything like that. I posted a picture on my Instagram about these markers and you guys were basically feeling some type of way. Like honestly, it was split down the middle between I love them and I hate them. Y'all gave me all these reasons as to why you loved them or hated them, and I appreciate all the feedback, but I must find out by myself whether or not these are worth it, because I'm going to be honest with you guys. When these things first came out, I honestly thought that they were kind of gimmicky. So in this video, we're going to find out whether or not they are gimmicky. This particular set comes with a stand, free nibs, and 22 markers, which include a blender and a pen. From first look, all the colors seem to be very vibrant and saturated, which is something that I actually like in my markers. Even though they are very long markers, they're very lightweight, so it doesn't feel awkward to use the whole marker. Even though you have the option to split it in half, I just use the whole thing because it doesn't feel awkward to me. But yeah, that is my initial unboxing review. Let's see how these suckers color. Right off the bat, I noticed that they are very vibrant markers, as you can see for yourself. However, I do notice that the ink is not juicy. And what do I mean by juicy, you may be asking? Well, it just basically means the ink is just flowing out of the pen. Another little irk I had with these markers is that sometimes I did not hold them from the right end, as you can see, so I would have to always hold it upside down again for another 25 seconds in order to get it to make the blended tone. I love the pen that came with it because it is dual-ended and the nibs are very different from each other. One is thick and one is thin. And I love that because I usually always line my work with 2 pens anyway, so now I only need 1. I did this very relaxing circle exercise, and don't come for my circle. You guys know how I am with my circles. After this circle exercise, I went ahead and tested my blender marker by seeing how it reacted with the regular pigmented markers. And it reacted pretty well, if I do say so myself. One thing that threw me for a loop, and you're gonna see it once I start using the red marker, is that the nibs are basically the same size, to be honest. Like there's no big difference at all. It's like there's a nib, a bullet nib, and a brush nib, as you can see here. The brush is pretty stiff, at least what I would consider stiff. I like my brushes to be a little more loose, and it doesn't really make a big difference. You know how another marker, let's say a pro marker, they'll have the bullet nib and then it'll have the broad nib. And because of that, you can make one side be for fine details and the other side be for, say, coloring a huge amount of space. Like you couldn't do that with these markers, or at least I wouldn't recommend you do it. It took forever to color in this little chameleon guy because I always had to flip the marker upside down and wait another 30 seconds. But I like how he came out. I like the different ranges of yellowy orange that I was able to get because of the Chameleon markers. When it was time to color in this weird looking little chick that I purposely gave those weird eyes to kind of, tie into the chameleon theme, I wanted to try my coloring technique. And if you don't know what my coloring technique is, then I will make sure I have a link in the upper right hand corner so you can see a video that explains it. And because these markers aren't as juicy as I would like them, I would say they aren't the best for my coloring technique. I would have to come up with a different technique when using the Chameleon markers. Some would say that it's unfair that I'm using these markers on watercolor paper and that's why they're not quote-unquote juicy. But I use all my markers on watercolor paper or mixed media paper, even though I don't suggest you do that if you're a new artist. But I like the texture that it brings out, so I do that on purpose. So I need these markers to hang with my other markers. And because these markers weren't as juicy as I would like them, it left her face, at least in the forehead region, slightly streaky. Of course, this is my first time using them, so I'm going to hit a lot of trial and error, but that's okay. I'm willing to work with these markers to see what works well with my style and these markers. I do like these markers, but I do still feel like they're slightly gimmicky. I'm going to review with you my pros and cons, starting with cons so that we can end on a good note. The first con is that they're $80. Did I not say that in the beginning? Yeah, $80. They are also not juicy, for me at least. You might be able to get away with it if you use them on marker paper. The nibs don't have a big difference in width. If you're going to be a dual-ended marker, then one side has to serve a completely different purpose than the other side. And let's not pretend this isn't a long process, okay? That's the truth. The good thing about this is that it's refillable. They send you free nibs, which, let's be honest, you're gonna need because that brush nib is jank. They are very vibrant and very close to the colors that are on the cap of the marker. You can make so many tones. Like, you can easily cheat a one marker challenge. These are just my opinions, of course. Do you like Chameleon markers? Let me know in the comment section below. Alright, that's it, you guys. Bye!